Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Rural Contractors. I'm your host, Paul Osmondson, and today's topic is money lost, lesson learned. So, jumping right into the story of this, I had a project. This was a roofing project for a house and a garage. So what we did, I went, measured up the roof, got it. I made a material list. I sent it off to the lumber yard that had referred me to this project. So I made the material list, sent it off to them, and they hand wrote their prices in right alongside my estimate. I do not recommend this at all. Create spreadsheets with numbers into that because those calculations can be made, and lesson learned here. So in this, the person that hand wrote the estimate in just right alongside mine, they just put their prices in beside, totaled it up. It was right in that COVID time when prices were going crazy. So I looked at the total number. I went through the line, like I had already made the material list and they had numbers in there, but I didn't check everything. So I had numbers to the material list that I provided. It was a pretty big number, but this was right at that timing that things were changing so quickly that it's like, yeah, I think that seems right. I didn't totally add up everything. So I marked up the material, sent out the job. The guy called me and said, yep, we're a go, was mailing me a check for the materials. And so I called that lumber yard and I say, hey, it's a go, order it. 5 days later, they're going to order it. And he calls me and goes, hey, Paul, I messed up. It's a steel roofing project. And I didn't catch this on the handwritten estimate. He had missed it by a decimal point. He had $400 and some dollars, and it was $4,000 worth of steel, not including the trims. And I'm like, he's like, you're going to have to call them and ask for more money. And I'm like, no, they already wrote a check. Like, that's not how I operate. Like, I was willing to eat that $4,000 loss because it's like, it's a bid, it's locked in. I'm not going back and asking for more money before I even did it. Yes, this guy got it done at a discount at that time. So I just talked with this guy, the lumberyard guy. I'm like, no, I'm not willing to ask for more money. Like, we made this mistake. I'll eat the whole $4,000 if I have to. But, hey, you made this mistake too. Can we split it? And so he did his numbers on that, and he's like, all right, I take off all my markup, we split the difference, we're both in $500. No big deal. I mean, I had it marked up more than that, but I was willing to eat that whole thing because my honesty and my integrity are important to me. That communication of just going back and being like, oh, nope, actually, sorry, I messed up. And this. So let's talk about the feelings of that. When that guy called and said, hey, I messed up by a decimal point, and I'm like, how bad is it? And it's like $4,000. It's like, you feel angry, mad, and just like, come on, this is your job. And this is where making your own, like I did make this material list, but then they put a price on that, and I'm looking across that, but I did not look at each individual number. I was just making sure that they had those on there. So that's where automated numbers and sheets are very important in any type of business that you're doing. But it's also like taking this back on me. The fact of the situation was I missed that he was off by $4,000. That's pretty big. I should have caught it. And he should have caught it before he sent it to me. But the fact is, I was not willing to go and ask the customer for more money. We had an agreed bid. He accepted it. We're moving forward. And I don't think that's a bad way of business. So I have no hard feelings towards this lumberyard guy. Did an awesome job. We split the difference. He made negative dollars on that job because he was willing to match my integrity in doing that. And I said, hey, I'm not willing to do this. I'll eat it all if I have to. Are you willing to do it half with me? And he did. So we've got along really good through that. But the fact of the situation is you need to look at those numbers. He needs to look at those numbers. Use the tools that are available to you to put in these calculations, to add up these things. Handwritten, how many times are you going to make a mistake on there? But not only that, say the project doesn't move forward, it's a year down the road and they say, now we're going to, you're going to redo all of the work that you already did. You're going to have to go look at that. Where if you just update your prices in a spreadsheet, boom, here it is, done. The feelings are very angry, disappointed. Oh, I'm going to lose $4,000. How am I going to make that $4,000 back? And really, it was 20 minutes in between. But this is where my mind was just going in those 20 minutes when he's like, we're $4,000 down. And it's like, I'm going to go do this week-long project for nothing, for negative dollars. Not a fun feeling. But then him calling back like, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take off my markup. It's going to be $500 each. And it's like, dude, I have spent $500 in a lot dumber ways. We can do this. This is no big deal. We'll get it done. So, I made money on my labor on that, and turns out I had enough markup in there to cover my $500 worth of lost materials so that it wasn't a loss. It didn't benefit him and it didn't benefit me, but there is a lesson learned from this. And learning from a $500 mistake instead of a $4,000 mistake is very crucial. So this is the cool thing about it, is you guys get to learn from my experience in this. I did not check the material list over thoroughly. I was not impressed from the get-go that it was a handwritten deal. But there's a lesson to be learned in this, and it's a $500 lesson, but it could have been a $4,000 lesson. Just going through these line items. How long does it take you to go through the line items, check the numbers? And this is the practice that I made later from this $500 mistake, is check these line items. So this is kind of how core values can really come into your business. Talking about that, me not being willing to go and ask for more money back, because what is your word worth? What I told that lumberyard guy was, hey, I don't need bad publicity from this. I would rather dish out the extra $500, do it and not make as much than, hey, this Osmondson guy, he told me one price and then 2 weeks later or a week later calls me and ups the price by $4,000. The bad publicity that I would have got from that, I didn't want for my business. I'm trying to build my brand that is built on honesty, integrity, and communication. And then I'm going, oops, sorry, I messed up. That makes me look like a hustle, and that I'm not treating like a business, and that I'm not paying attention to my numbers. So setting those core values to your company and sticking to them is very important. How many people put honesty, integrity as their core values? A lot of them. How many of them live up to their core value of honesty, integrity? Maybe 50%, if that. So that is where I was not willing to cross those lines of my core values of my company. So there was a lesson learned. There was pain. Lessons come from pain. There was pain in losing a chunk of money to learn a lesson to better my business. I hope this was valuable, and we'll catch you on the next one.